Hello everyone and welcome to yet another live coding and chill. I'm your host, Johnny. Delighted to be here. I hope you're having amazing Fridays and that they're gonna get even better. And the weekend, absolutely amazing. Today, we'll be looking into Sanity CMS. We've looked at a few CMSs in the past. We've done a lot with PocketBase. Recently, there's a video all about it, a shorter video and a couple more long live streams. But today we'll be looking into a proper modern giant. We'll be looking into Sanity, which has solutions for any framework that you like, including Next.js, including Astro, including SvelteKit, which is what we'll be doing today. This is a continuation of sorts of the previous stream that we did just last Tuesday, where we started recreating the latest TailwindUI template called Radiant. We've re-implemented it from Next.js, which the Tailwind team has done, into SvelteKit. Hello Mal, again, nice to see you. And what a quick start. That was the fastest chat message ever, I believe. Congratulations. So we've created this one. Maybe I'll go into the full view here, small head, but big desktop view here. I've worked on it offline as well to have a few more of the demo sections here. But live, we did include dark mode, for example, which the TailwindUI version doesn't have. We've included a real login flow, which the real TailwindUI version doesn't have. And you can find the link in the video description and click around yourself and see if you like it, see if we've done well, see which UI bits you don't particularly like. Some of it was like a slight tweak by me that maybe you won't like. Some of them is the Tailwind team that does it, so who can argue with them? But the big difference is the dark mode, so let me know how the dark mode is looking to you. And like a few more extra goodies. We did the little animation here, not with motion for this one, but with vanilla CSS. It's a vanilla CSS animation now that works. Have a look here. We also have the responsive design that they do as well, but we have an animated hamburger menu, so it's 100% better already. But what else do we have? We have view transitions, of course, because this is SvelteKit, not Next.js, so setting up view transitions is pretty easy. I think they look nice, regardless if it's dark or light mode. So you'll notice that this hero component is in light mode, regardless, but other parts of the app do respect the light or dark mode. I think that's an interesting implementation. Feel free to have a look. There is a link to the code base as well, but that's under the JOHNNIFY premium flag. Shows me support and gets you going with a project that I think will save you like a days of work at least. If you find one JOHNNIFY premium project that you like, it will save you one bit of work. Maybe it's this one, maybe it's Radiant, maybe it's another one. But what we will be doing today is focusing on the blog section here. So we've got nothing. At the moment, we have the big copy that the official Radiant template has. But we're not bringing in feature posts. We're not bringing in all of the posts that exist. We don't have like category filtering. We don't have RSS feed. We have nothing of the sort. And to solve this, the Tailwind team went with Sanity CMS. There are quite a few CMSs, some of them headless, some of them with a UI. I've been really enjoying PocketBase, that I'm sure we'll talk about more as we keep going here. But today it's all going to be about how do we onboard with Sanity? How do we make our SvelteKit app here talk to Sanity content lake or API? I don't know what particularly they call it. I know that they pride themselves into making their content very portable and that they do have solutions for all of our favorite UI frameworks. And we'll see how easy it is to get going. I think that's about it for the recap. Let me know what you're up to. Imal, I hope you're doing very, very well. Let's say that we did all of those in one. And my plan was to go through the quiz that Sanity has. But they seem to have a problem here. Let's see if they... Oh, they resolved it just in time for the stream. Amazing. Well, almost amazing. Haven't done any of these. If I click here, do I get through them? All right, day one quiz. Great. So they have an onboarding learning course of how to start with Sanity Studio. And it finishes with a quiz. So I haven't gone through this, but I've used CMSs before. I've used frontends and backends before alike. So I thought it may be fun to start with their day one quiz. And then we'll go through the actual modules of the course and set up Sanity Studio and all of that. I think that may be fun. So let's see what type of questions they have. First one is, what's the best thing about Sanity being developer friendly? Is it that developers can work faster and get to home earlier? That does sound good. Everyone is happier when developers are. I guess that's true. Developers can create experiences tailored to content creators. Interesting. Developers can make all the most important decisions on their own. So I think this one is the worst one. I suppose I can only assume that they market Sanity as something that helps you make the best decisions, and it's opinionated and it helps you do the right thing and not shoot yourself in the foot. So I don't think it's number 4. But would it be number 1? Work faster, get home earlier? Because tailored to content creators specifically doesn't feel like it would say tailored to anybody. Like that's the one I'd pick. So I'd pick the first one. Why is it red? Do I just submit in the end? Is it multiple choice? Now, so developers can create experiences tailored to content creators. I guess content creators, they don't mean like YouTubers or Instagram influencers and all of that. They mean that it's a CMS that's not just a one size fits all, and this is what you get, like more WordPress style. It's one that you can tailor to a specific type of blogger or vlogger or whatever you want to call them. So I do like the cheeky ones, 1 and 2, but after this one, the important decisions, this was my third favorite choice. Oh well, maybe that's why you need to go through the course. All right, what does each element in a content model describe? What is a content model? I don't know, sounds like a schema to me. What something looks like, what something is, how something works, and who created it. So what something is doesn't sound correct, because I think this is more of a content model. I imagine it's a schema type of thing. So it would be what something looks like. So a post would have a content model, like it has a title, it has a slug, and you'd know that the title is this long and it's a string, and the slug is this long and has a string or whatever. It has an image, which is this type of resource. But it's not specifically each post has the title subscribe to JOHNNIFY or something. How something works feels like cannot be true. And content model describe, yeah, who created it? I don't think that's it. So it should be what something looks like. Wrong. Will I get any correct? What something is? All right. What something is. So kind of generic and okay, I can see that. I guess. Questions. So we didn't exactly crash. We failed massively in the Sanity and structured content section. Let's see the Sanity Studio, which we haven't opened and we haven't seen. Which of these is not a good reason to add validation rules? They ensure consumers receive trustworthy content. They help guide the purpose of the content being created. It's good to force creators to slow down. Guardrails are especially useful for new creators. So 3 and 4 seem very similar, but this is like the condescending way to say this. Number 3. Maybe 3 is like it's good to force content creators to slow down. Is even more condescending. So I don't think that's the good reason they want. All right, we finally got one correctly. What's a good reason for making changes in your Sanity Studio? Experimentation, feedback from content creators, intuition. Change is as good as a holiday. So why would you make a change in your Sanity Studio? I guess it would be you got feedback from content creators. All right, so even though we haven't used Sanity Studio, it feels like we're more on it. When is a good time to create a custom form component? As soon as possible, like first thing you do, like create a form component. You always need the form. After exhausting built-in configuration options, before implementation, and just before bedtime. All right, so some tricky ones here. I imagine they want to show that they have quite a lot of options for their existing forms and inputs and all of that. So exhaust what they have before you start extending stuff, because the best code is the one you don't have to write, that you didn't write at all. So section aced this one. So GROQ. So I think this is some sort of query language, and the way you get content out of their APIs, like you select star from posts like SQL, but their own domain specific language here. I hope they don't ask for what it stands for, what acronym this is. But I guess it sounds like GROQ, like I GROQ this, I understand this, and that's why they picked it. And Q for query, but what GRO would be? General Retrieval Object Query. Anyway, what is an array called, or parentheses called in GROQ? A square bracket pair, a filter, an index, square boys. Surely it's not square boys. Square bracket pair sounds official. Could be a filter. It's a filter. All right, so you filter by using the array syntax. What's an object? What are curly brackets called in GROQ? A curly bracket pair. So now that a square bracket pair was incorrect, I'm afraid to choose this. And then it's like a projection, an index, or curly boys. Wow, I'm definitely not a curly boy, but my beloved puppy Summer is, as well as my wife. Curly girls, of course. Right, so following this, following being told I was wrong for curly bracket pair, I will go for projection. Let's see. All right, correct. Projection. Which of the following is true in GROQ queries? Filters must always specify an underscore type. The star indicates a query across all datasets. That doesn't sound correct. Projections help reduce overfetching. So seeing this being projections, I see it as the, instead of select star, you say select ID and title from this. So it could be this. And you can write GraphQL inside the GROQ query. This may be a dig to like Gatsby or a framework like that. So I will go with 3. All right, correct. We've been doing kind of well now. Sanity client and APIs. A Sanity client can be used to query Sanity content. Surely that's correct. Query and mutate Sanity content. Okay, so that's more correct. Query, mutate, and listen to changes. So can you subscribe? I'm not sure. On Sanity content. And query, mutate, and listen to changes on Sanity content in browsers and all modern runtimes. So it just keeps getting more specific, so I'll go maximum. All right, good. Sanity Studio and Sanity Client use the blockchain. Private APIs you would never understand. Publicly documented HTTP APIs, large language models. So sadly, no blockchain or LLMs, not private APIs you'll never understand. They're all publicly documented. All right, so we did them all. We did the quiz. And we got like 3 wrong. Not bad. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So 70%, like kind of passing, and we haven't even done anything else in the course. Not too bad. I think I learned something with the filter being like an array, and the curlies being a projection, like a select. So I think this may help me, but thought it was quite fun to start like this. Let's get going with actually creating Sanity Studio. So now that we finally went through the quiz that we're supposed to do in the end, we will go through onboarding and create our first Sanity Studio. Again, as a reminder, we'll be trying to recreate whatever the TailwindUI team did for Radiant. So they have this blog section here, and they do have a schema we can refer to at some point, I suppose. But what we want is blog posts that have a published day, I imagine. They have an author, they have a title, and they have they have tags, they have whether they're featured or not. They have quite a few things. So let's see how we do. I won't do anything here, but I will go through the onboarding on flows so you can see it. I logged in with GitHub in preparation for the stream, and then I saw they had an onboarding flow and figured I should go through it with everyone else in case you had questions, something to say. Let me know if you want me to do something in particular. So we're building, I guess, a marketing side. Grow with your business. Grow your business. E-commerce store, blog, product, app, like anything can be true. I guess the one we are not building is not knowledge base, even though we've built that one with Astro Starlight kind of recently. Check out those streams. And we won't be powering, so in the case of Radiant, I guess it's either marketing or blog. I would say marketing side. So even though we've included a login flow that works, the idea behind this is probably that you go to a separate section for the actual Radiant app, whatever that is. So marketing side. What's the name? Let's say Radiant. Should we say Radiant Kit to avoid confusion? Sure. I think we just get a unique ID anyways. What technologies are you using? You can select more than one. TypeScript, SvelteKit. Oh, it adds them with a nice animation here. Nice. It removes itself immediately, but I don't know. And it just moves you through. Like if you don't know, get out of here. All right, so TypeScript and SvelteKit. And yeah, that's it. So interesting how they have React and TypeScript first. Can you select React and Next.js? Interesting. Interesting. So React UI framework like Svelte, Next.js, a framework, full stack meta framework for React, which uses React, like SvelteKit. So interesting that they have it in a separate field. Sure. So next. Are you migrating from another CMS? No, so that's interesting that they have. I guess we could select yes and then find the schemas that the TailwindUI team has already created for us, but let's just do it. All set. How would you like to get started? If you want a new project, that's not what they're doing. To existing Next.js app, interesting. They asked me what I'm using. I said SvelteKit, and they're not saying pick this one, even though they do have templates for SvelteKit. Oh, and they have Remix right there. Interesting. And they have a video tutorial. Very nice. Cool. It seems like it's the same instructor, which is cool for cohesion. But, like, what are the flags that they're gonna give me here? So they're using a create wizard, Sanity latest, and then it points to my project ID here. Oh, JM. I wonder if those are my initials. And then the dataset is the production one, and the provider is GitHub for some reason. If it's a new project, what do they have me copy? They also add the template flag. So you started in a brand new project, I suppose. All right. So I think this is the one we actually want, and it should be framework agnostic, I can only imagine. Which will be the next section. Let's browse all the templates. So we want this SvelteKit and Sanity, but I think this creates a new project for us. and also shows how to render the blog content with portable text, which we may need, but has a Sanity Studio. So this should be a monorepo that has a SvelteKit app and the Sanity Studio. And yeah, indeed, it has the app in an app folder for some reason. And it has the Sanity Studio in a separate folder here. Sure. So it's kind of a monorepo with workspaces. There we go. So app and studio are the different packets that they have. Kind of similar, a bit less standard than the setup that we have. So let's go over that one. So running on localhost, we have our monorepo, which is like Radiant, but it's Svelte. It doesn't have the nice carousel and stuff, but it does have dark mode and a login flow. How cool is that? This one's running locally, but you can find a link in the description to play around yourself. And the way this is set up, this is a monorepo, but adhering more to like the standard monorepo setup. It considers part of the monorepo anything we've put inside apps or inside packages. And the apps that we have is the database app, which is just a helper to start our SQLite database. And our web app, which is a SvelteKit implementation of the frontend, is what you see on the left. And what I'm thinking is that I'll create another app called Studio, I guess, or you can call it CMS, not sure, or Sanity. I don't know what you want to call it, but we will. And besides pnpm for this monorepo, we're also using Turbo, and we are deploying to Vercel. So we hit the cast more often, I guess. I do like how they specify the tasks in Turbo, having a Turbo repo for this, but it's not essential. pnpm-workspaces by itself is good enough, I would say. All right, so we have a command. If anyone in the chat has a suggestion of what we should name this, in the apps directory, again, we have the web, the SvelteKit app, and we have DB, the database, the local database. What should we call this one? We have something to paste here. We're gonna pnpm or pnpx create. Is it pnpm? Let's see. The Sanity Wizard, the project. This is the project we just set up. The dataset is going to be production, and the provider is going to be GitHub. And I hope it will ask me for the folder name. So if you have ideas for the folder names, let me know. Could be Studio, could be Sanity, could be something else. They want us to authenticate with Sanity. Prefer web interface terminals, you can also do it in there. Great. I have logged in with GitHub. So they want me to validate this. Validate it fast. Awesome. I want this project. So interesting, they had me pass this in a flag, this ID in a flag. But I guess because I wasn't authenticated, they asked for me to do it again. Use the production dataset. And oof. Should I copy all of this? That'd be kind of crazy. So I will call it Studio and see where that goes. And movie project schema with sample data, interesting. An e-commerce like Shopify or specifically Shopify. A blog with a specified schema, or a clean project with no predefined schema types. Let's just do a blog and see what we get. Even though I will show that in the TailwindUI, Radiant UI, they do have a Sanity config that does have a few schemas there. Let's see, search for schema for Sanity. And they have types for the author, for the post, for the category, and blog content. What is this? Is this the marketing copy? I don't really know. And it looks like this. So we could just copy these. Should we copy these? Unsure. Let's see what we get with the blog, the default blog. Do you want TypeScript? Yes. Let's see where it puts all of this. It seems it got the correct one. So Studio is what we went with in the end. Done. And we can pnpm dev after cd into that one, into that directory. So let's see what we got in this directory. It has a packetization. The name is RadiantKit. I guess in this project, in our in this monorepo, every other dependency is like @repo and then the name of the directory. So let's call it @repo studio. Could be CMS. The entry point is the packetization, sure. Unlicensed. I like that. Like neat stats. I wonder if they're using React for the front end here. It kind of makes sense. And style components. Anyway. PocketBase. It seems they're using Svelte for the front end. It's not cool. And they have like a prettier config here in the packetization, which I guess I can delete immediately. Because we have, in the monorepo, we have a prettier RC already. Cool. And it also has ESLint rules. Ugh. Oh well. Sure. Could be handy for some projects. It's handy, especially React projects. Congratulations, you have installed the Sanity Content Studio, an open source real-time content editing environment connected to the Sanity backend. Now you can read. Great. Read about this template. Cool. Right. So this will get us going for quite a while. They have some schema types that look suspiciously like the ones that are in this project. So author, blog content, category post. Author, blog content, category post, and an index. Interesting. Do they have an index? The index, they have it further out. They call it schema TS for some reason. I wonder if they're exactly the same. So we have the author here. The author is a document. The icon is a user icon. Interesting. So they've brought in a hero icon from here, so they've customized it further. Cool. The fields, they have a name, and they've customized the label, I guess, to uppercase it. Interesting. They have a slug. We have a slug. They have an image. It has the hotspot property. I don't know what that means, but they have it here default. But they also have a bio, which they didn't have. And interesting, you can select when you get a preview of this, like in the list view, what you get, and you get the title and the you get the title. What do you get? Title name. Unsure. And media, you must be looking into the image field, which is, I guess, this. This is a bit confusing. The name and title here, it's a bit confusing. But let's see, blog content. It's like, so these look kind of like the same. We won't go through. Let's look at blog content. Actually, it looks kind of crazy. For each text, you can do some stuff. Tells you that oh, an H1 is like this. Blog codes, you do these things. Quite a few things with more comments than the one in the Tailwind thing. Does it also have an image? Yeah. So cool. It seems like they didn't tweak this too much. Maybe they added the custom icons, which is cool. Happy weekend, Mikey. How are you doing? And for the posts, just a quick look. Public stat is featured, so that's interesting. The main image, oh, this one has quite a lot of things. Is featured is one that doesn't appear here. All right, so cool. Let's add a new timestamp here. where we actually run our Sanity Studio. So they're telling us to run the dev command, but the way we've set up things in our turbo repo, the moment we do pnpm dev, it should just start. Sanity Studio with feed 333. Mikey says, you're good. Annoyed with some Figma. Maybe I'm still learning. I've been using Figma for like 5 years and I'm still learning. So don't worry about it. It's only natural. I used to work in a team that was an early ambassador of Figma. They were all in. And, you know, I could kind of use them. Oh, interesting. But whenever I looked at them using Figma, they were like wizards. Indistinguishable for magic, what they were doing in Figma. Right, so it seems they have dark mode, so they're cool like us. And that's amazing. Can I switch to dark mode? Not that out of curiosity, I suppose. And we can see that content as is defined in our schemas, not block content, not that block quote schema thing. So they have this block content thing, which I guess is a magic type. And whenever any other field has reads what you see is what you get editor, then it uses this, I guess. And you don't see it specifically here. Then you have the vision thing, which I don't know what it is. It allows you to query your dataset. And so that's quite interesting in that the local studio that we have is hitting the production database, and you must be doing something else somewhere else to actually hit, to create and hit your staging one, which sometimes is fine. You can schedule publications, which is quite cool. I don't know what this failed button. Ah, there are no failed ones. All right, so upcoming completed failed. Cool. So that looks very nice. If I press create, it's gonna try to create one of the existing types. And you get like a nice UI, cool. It looks nice. Here you can invite other members, so you can invite your client. You can have a little Kanban. Wow, like what have they done here? So I've seen that they've raised like 50 million for Sanity over the years, over a few rounds of funding. And you can tell this is like very polished. This is very nice. Oh, there you go. This is where they hid dark mode or, you know, management system. Awesome. Cool. Very cool. Can press here to get the editor again. Nice. So that's it for the brief overview of Studio. I wonder what will happen. Like, does it live update when you update the schema? It should, because it's running a React app, I guess. Is this a React app? I guess so. I don't have like the React Chrome plugin to see for sure, but I'd imagine that it's React, given what we've discovered so far. Cool. So what's next? I'd imagine it's fetching data, but we need to create some data first. So let's go through this. So we've went through the prerequisites. We've done the configuration of the studio. The config, I guess, was created for us. So this, the title of this, project ID, dataset production. I wonder if these should be environment variables. I guess not. I guess you authenticate with GitHub to actually see this. So they had me authenticate. So that's the limitation. That's how you make sure that even if someone else clones this project, they cannot edit my dataset, even though the project ID is for my stuff. Interestingly enough, I wonder if they've done something different here. So they are use environment variables for this. Interesting and sensible. And instead of calling the app, I guess, instead of calling the app Studio, they've called it Sanity to make it clearer. That's fair enough. They have the Sanity config here. Base path is inside Studio. Whoa, that doesn't make sense. Ah, the Studio, they have it as an Next.js app itself. Whoa. Is that true? So it proxies through the Studio, the Sanity Studio thing. Interesting integration. I don't know if they have it for Svelte and SvelteKit. That's something I would have to have a look at, I suppose. What we have is a separate app, and the SvelteKit starter also looked like this. Let's double check. So yeah, this template has the Studio thing, and they don't have anything fancy inside the app to say, oh, in this route, it's all the Sanity Studio stuff. Yeah. So it seems they don't have an adapter. It doesn't seem they have an adapter to have your Studio UI, your CMS UI run through SvelteKit. It's cool that they have one for Next.js. So what we were looking, Sanity, I don't know what this does. The project ID, you get it from this, but it's public, and you get it from this. Sure. So it's a good idea to have these be environment variables for sure. And they have a sanity env. Well, if you don't have this, then it throws an error. Sure. All right, so we'll see if we'll expose this to environment variables later. For now, we'll keep it as is. They are public, so we're not worried about leaking them. As we said, the authentication to the CMS environment is through GitHub or whatever. Like you validate your identity, and then they validate whether you're part of the organization that this project ID has. I can only imagine. Maybe they have fine-grained access as well, so you belong to this project, but you don't have access to the production dataset. That'd be cool. If we try to add a member, admin, cool, read and write to everything. A contributor, read and write to draft content, interesting. Developer, read and write everywhere, and some project settings for developers. Contributor has no access to project settings, great. Editor, read and write to everything, and some access to project settings. And viewer, you can read everything, you can access some project settings, but that's it. All right, cool. Hi son, how are you doing? Happy Friday, indeed. So that's cool. And I'm sure that's like one of their upsell points is like, oh, do you want like 10 team members? You need to pay a bit more, which is very fair. I do like this. 20 included in the plan. Because the moment I logged in, they opted me in the pro trial. That's how they get you. What do I get? Private datasets, okay, user roles. So with free plan, you have no ability to add members like we saw. I guess you can only add admins, maybe. I was thinking that you'd have like, you can add like 2 people or 1 other person. Comments within, so that's if you have good teams, if you have big teams as well, and you want them to organize within the CMS, which is very interesting. Like usually you talk in Slack or Discord or somewhere. And you also get AI assist. Whoa. So Son says, if YouTube does Does YouTube only do this to you? The search suggestion is Johnny McGrip, please. So this is quite funny because this is like a famous typo of my name back in Greece. There aren't that many with my exact last name, which is Magripis in Greek. But there are quite a few Magriplis, so maybe that's why there is more content on the internet about those people, even though I can only assume they don't do Svelte. I'd be so surprised. But that's funny. And Maggie, you've been liking Svelte 5. I've been liking it too. But yeah, so for me it's like double P, not PL. From the Greek word of epos, which is horse. In any case, what do I want to... So I'm trying to see how they get me on this plan. All right, free plan. Let's see what we have. We have 20 users, great. 2 permission roles, which seems quite good. 2 datasets that have to be public, so we can have the Radiant one and another one. This is really good. Unlimited content types, awesome. Customizable workspaces, great. Real-time hosted database, great. Live previews and visual editing, all amazing stuff. Then, with the growth, I don't know if that's the one we were upsold or we're getting the free trial here. Still do datasets, interesting, but 2 should be enough. I guess you can either have 2 projects and live on the edge of production, or have 1 project and have production and staging. I think for content like this, it's fine to have just production and maybe enable something where some people can see the drafts or the scheduled content before they go live. I think that that's better actually. So you can have, I'd say, 2 projects and that's it. Not just 1 project with staging and production. For everything else, like usually for a database, for your authenticated users, for example, I would say you need to have a staging which can serve as a local one as well, and a production one. And that's a big limitation with Supabase, which makes it hard to have, or you have to pay more to have something like this. While Turso gives you like 1 million databases, and for every project you can easily have staging and production. But this is good. For this case, I think this is good. You can get by with your free tier for sure. And then if you like it for another project, for another client, you tell them, well, you need to pay 15 bucks, fella. And the prices go out of hand alongside with your day rate if you keep doing Sanity. Awesome. And we're in the growth trial, so yeah, this is the one we get. I like this. This is very opaque, very obvious. Like they're telling us what we have, what we can get, and when will be upsold. I like this. This is very honest, I would say. And I would remind you that, is this custom studio URL? I would remind you that as always, no affiliated content. I saw tools that I think are interesting. There was a chance that today we'll be trying this and be like, oh no, I don't like this one. I prefer PocketBase. PocketBase has its use cases still, but I can see why all the good words I've heard about Sanity exist. All right, so is this enough faffing around? Do we need to do more with the schema? What was I saying? That in here, no new project. In the content, how do I update the posts, for example? Or let's create a post. And let's go to TailwindUI's Radiant. And pick this one. GDPR is just a suggestion. This is comedy, this is sarcasm. Just so you know. I'm legally obliged to say. So I wonder how easily can I copy paste this? The body here, you do get a bit of a rich text editor and you can do images. It'd be interesting to see how that goes. And it is what you see, is what you get. Cool. So this became a header. Easy. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Like the links seem to work. It's a URL. Lots of cool stuff here. Anything else that we should be having a look at? Pseudo minimization. All right. So this, they created that and updated that. It looks like code. Just with the backticks. Oh, is this the... Ah, you can add comments on that. Interesting. Sure. And they have categories already. Let's see. So the category they've added it in, it's multiple ones, insights and knowledge. You can create the category here. Ugh. Can I see a description of this? Not really. But I can see other blog posts like this. Can I save with no description? Plunk. So interesting. I created a category here. I'm not sure about this drop down, but it's cool that it makes it so I can easily create a category that doesn't exist. And I can only assume later I'll be able to select other categories that do exist. So what else was this one? Knowledge. Can get philosophical here and be like, what's the difference between insight and knowledge? Publish this one too. Great. Oh, this toast doesn't mean that we're doing it. It's when it's going to be dismissed. Interesting UI. The main image we can steal. The author we can create, I assume. So let's see. Long one. I wonder if there is like a hook or something that we can create to derive this from this. Oh, generate. There you go. No need to create a hook or anything like that. They have the button. They have a button. So let's see how is this defined. So a post has a title, has a slug, and it has a type of slug. So a specific type of slug. If you specify a type of slug, I imagine has this generate thing that knows to look into the title, even though the title doesn't have a type of title. Ah, you say here that the source is going to be the title field. All right, interesting. So it's starting to make sense. And the body is blog content, and we've defined the blog content here. So Mikey says, Turso is so powerful, more powerful than Puppers. Ah, depends on what you're doing. And what does Radiant do? It's the latest SaaS template by TailwindUI. This is my take on it. You can log in, you can log out, you have dark mode, light mode, but it's a marketing site for your SaaS. And in my case, where you can actually log in, you can go to the dashboard and start building those things too. I think you can, I think it looks nice. I think it may be a bit hard to rebrand because this is like so specific, so nice, but so specific. But not sure. And we did self-host the font, which the TailwindUI team didn't do, even though they're using Vercel to deploy. And I would strongly suggest don't use your own sans serif font. I think this is a bit of a miss there. If you're gonna bring in your custom font, use it for serif stuff. Like I won't be able to tell if this is a custom font or your system sans font. So there you go, like free tip. Anyway, let's keep CMSing. They're saying, can select an image here. The author, I imagine, will have to create somehow. So we have this Marcus Eldridge person. So they're awesome. They have an image. Oh, it's WebP. Let's see if it can handle WebP. Be cool to know. And they have a name, of course. Their name is this. Generator slug. The image will generate. Click to activate, because there is the text editor, I suppose. But there is no way to actually see what the the TailwindUI team has added for this. Says insight sounds far more commercial, like it will pay the bills faster than knowledge. If you can charge for it, it's an insight. If you just know it but can't charge for it, it's knowledge. Sure. Let's see how will this work. So I'll try to drag and drop this image. It's WebP. They've managed to do it. Awesome. Do I need to publish this person? Publish them. Great. And oh, they're using their thumbnail here. Awesome. Let's see if it's that simple to do the main image for this. Save it. Drag and drop in the UI. Published ad, let's also steal this. So August 8th. No calendar, I need to click the button, I get a calendar. Wow, this is the widest calendar I've ever seen. Interesting, doesn't start from Monday to... Anyway, what did they say? 4th of August or something? 2024. Is it Tuesday? What day was it? 8 August. Good. Set the current time doesn't just set the time, it also sets the date. All right, and there is no button to like get out, you just need to click outside, I suppose. Sure. And we've managed to put all the required fields. We can click publish. They're syncing the document with a cloud. Then we have this, and it has a little thumbnail of the hero. Cool. And you get like 2 editors as well, like if you're adding a content within the content. I like it. It's nice. And then in the vision, I guess we can play around with the query language. Perspective. And one of the views is published and the other one is drafts. Wonder how you can do drafts. Version history is good. You can unpublish and schedule as well. Maybe that makes a difference. This is the published at date. Even though we've set this to whenever it was. Yeah, so the published at field is the one we've done, but internally they know that the published at is September 20th. Cool, so we have the one. Let's see if we add the featured field that TailwindUI has. Will it just work? So the post type has an isFeatured boolean, and then they have a custom validation. What? All right, so their custom validator here, this is advanced features, is having a look to see if you have more than 3 feature posts. And if you do, it stops you. So you need to unfeature one and then feature the other one. Feels like too much of a faff, to be honest. But they're doing it and we're copying their design. We want to think less, so we'll also do it. I guess set it at the end. And it should just work using this define field method that is from the Sanity library itself. We're claiming, we're creating a new field called thisFeatured. It's a Boolean type. Initially, by default, it's false. And then it has a custom rule, which needs to do a GROQ, like a query, which must be inside Sanity something. Oh, next Sanity specifically. Interesting. So let's see. Because we don't know how to do the GROQ yet. To do like you could have a functionality like a hook after this. Ugh, an ESLint. Right, so this is saying if this is featured and you want to unfeature it, then it's fine, pass. But if not, do this check if we have more than featured posts. And yeah, the validation property, they do some magic to ensure that they call the method you provide with the rule thing, whatever this is, a Boolean rule. So according to what type of field this is, then the rule can have different things. Interesting. Cool. So it gives you the current value of the post, I imagine, the thing that you want to do change. And also gives you the client so you can do like an API request with GROQ, which we'll figure out how to do, I'm sure, soon. But for now, let's say that feature post is like 2, 0. And to do more later. So now this hot reloaded and has an isFeature toggle. Awesome. And toggling this saves it, but doesn't publish it. All right, so you make draft changes, but then you still need to click the publish button. No undo here, you need to press again. So Son says you didn't even know that it's possible to mutate an argument by putting a method on it. So this is custom. This is something that they've made up, right? So it's not regular JavaScript. It's not that for this value, you could actually specify a method here and say, you know, give this like some argument, like the previous value, and then do something, and whatever you return is going to be the next value or whatever. This is not a JavaScript thing. They've made it so specifically for their validation field that you pass in their own method. If you pass a method in validation, then they're going to call that method and do some stuff. So it's things they made up. It's not JavaScript or TypeScript, but it is common. You can see quite a few APIs that include pass your method, and we're gonna call it with some arguments. I'll keep a note next time we encounter something like this. I guess even the hooks, even the Svelte hooks, do the same thing, kinda. Like you magically export a handle here, and then SvelteKit calls your method for you with like some objects. So it's the same logic, I suppose. So awesome, we've added something to our schema. Immediately it hot reloads and appears here. I love this. And to prove that works, I guess this is an array because the order you have these things defines how you see them in the UI. So now this feature becomes third because it was the third item in the array. Cool. So they decide to finish strong with the body. Only the more boring information comes earlier. Really cool. Right. So anything else? Like we've done the thing. What do they say about creating a schema? Blah 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 blah. Creating a schema. We've stolen everything. Event type. So they're creating events. This thing, not posts. Anything interesting? Maybe if they talk about the rules here. They're saying these documents, keep them in separate files. Sure, makes sense. You can have strings, numbers, booleans, arrays, objects, and more. Slugs, event type. No, that's just to follow the course. So URL field, also interesting. Relations to other things, interesting. Numbers, datetimes, cool. And the details field is a block content. So what's that? Block content is the reads text. Sure. Let's see, improve the editorial experience. Blah, blah, blah. A string can have an options object that says that it should actually be a list of in-person, virtual, or whatever. And the layout should be radio, so you click and you can only select one. Nice. Some things, if they're not set, they start with initial values you can pass. You can add descriptions, so you can see more things there. We could even add like only 3 blog posts can be featured at a time. Validation, great. So this is the cool thing where validation is you can give it a method and then you can specify whether it's required. Interesting that they do lowercase for rule here. Well, they've done like uppercase for here. I don't know if this is supposed to be like an object or something. It does feel like this is an instance of something, so lowercase makes more sense to me actually. And custom means that you get an asynchronous method that gets the current value and also the client, and you can do stuff with the client. Interesting. Farangelo says, good afternoon to you too as well. It's great you're here. Is it just you, or do you get sad when JSON schemas aren't defined with Zod? I've been loving Zod, and I wonder, is there a way? There must be a plugin. Generate Zod schemas from Sanity schemas. So that's the other way around. That's not what we want. We want the opposite thing. We want to use a Zod schema to create our Sanity type. But I guess it kind of makes sense because they have like these weird things. You can't just give it what Zod expects because they have the weird validation rules that can hit like an API asynchronously. So I kind of get it. I wish there was like a standard you could do here. But yeah. I wonder if the rule itself could be, if the validation rule could be like a Zod schema. But yeah, I'll search for it because it would be cool. So validation should be, it satisfies the Zod schema, for example. Why not? It doesn't seem to be the case. So let's keep going. Custom rule here takes the value, gets the context, which has the client, I suppose. or the whole document so you can see, oh, it's a virtual event, so this. If you don't explicitly return true, if you return a string, I guess you get a fail, and then you get in the UI as a description of why this failed. Cool. Conditional fields, or read-only. Right, so every field is hidden until you've given it a title. Sure. Sure. You can group some fields. Ah, interesting. So you specify the groups in a different category here. You can say like groups. And then each field has a group, like a single group or many groups it belongs to. Previews. They have an icon and best guess at what the title is. And you can give them unique icons. Like this. All right, so that's something we can add. So where do we see the icons anyway? I guess this has an icon. Like this uses the hero image as the action. Son says, looking up how the code works. The documentation, I suppose, says your defined configuration objects that Sanity's runtime interprets and enhances, aka more black magic to learn in web dev. Yeah, not general web dev. This is definitely Sanity specific. So you need to be aware of this, like learning exactly how these fields work. It's not necessarily knowledge that you'll be able to bring to another project. If they're not using Sanity, then you wouldn't really be able to have overlapping knowledge there. Although if they are using a CMS, it is likely that there will be kind of similar things. Because, you know, it's a solution to the one problem. We want to manage the content. We want to have schemas. How do we do them? It will be like, you'd be expecting similar things even if the CMS of choice was something else, even if it was contentful. Or maybe even PocketBase. We can have a look how we define the fields in the end there. But it is curious how in PocketBase you define the content categories in the UI, and it doesn't seem you can create them in the UI here. So I couldn't have modified that I want a post to have a niche feature field here, and then it creates the code for me. It's like code. The code is the source of truth, and I'm not going to generate code for you. While PocketBase, you can use the UI, and it will create the migration code needed as well. So that's an interesting difference. And so I was trying to figure out the icons. For example, the categories don't have great icons. Is that what we'll be adding? Not sure. I know that we had icons like this from hero icons. And let's try to use the one they suggest here. We could use any library, and they're saying just use Sanity icons. Sure. So in our packetization for Studio, do we have sanity icons? No. So if we go, do we add it as dev dependency? I'd imagine no. So let's go to Studio. Add sanity icons. But we could use hero icons as well. It seems anyone would work. And specify for our post, we want the icon to be. Can hear it an emoji here. Don't think that that's true. That would be cool. Can this be a string? Looks like it. Right, Sanity does have a document icon. So I've done this. It hot reloads into something. Ah, and here instead of having a directory, it has like the document icon. All right, cool. And what do they do for the category? The tag icon. So let's see. Icon. Tag icon. Oh, they do have it. Cool. So there you go. Nice tag. For the author, can you give it a string? What is a test? No. It needs a React component, I suppose. Is a React component just a thing that returns like a string? Yes. So that's pretty cool. So here you go. That's our React for the day. And not TSX needed as well. I wonder if this would work if it was a TSX file. Anyway. Cool. What are they using as the icon here? A user icon. Sure. I'll keep this one because I think that's cute. Good, cute example. Anything else from the tutorial? Custom input components. So I guess if we've exhausted the vanilla components that they have, then you can create your React component, for example, that is going to be taking some props as always. You can find your own UI. I don't have an example of why would you use this for a blog. This is a word of caution. Since you can't customize anything, then you are tempted to customize everything it says. But usually, like, you don't want to maintain a custom thing, and you must have. Surely there exist components for most use cases. Series of guides on custom input components. Let's see. There is some inspiration there. Create a coupon generator, for example. Generate coupon. All right, there you go. Makes sense. Promo deal thing. Like you can check if it can be checked in the database whether a coupon exists already. It kind of makes sense. I can see this. Structure customization. What would this be? Learn how to customize how document lists and document views are organized. So if you have a look at, I would maybe skipping this section here. Doesn't seem that relevant. So in the UI, we have this structure thing, and we can select any post and we can see them here, and we have like sorting methods. And I imagine that you can specify, oh, it's showing this icon or that icon, and it orders by this or that field. But I don't think that's interesting enough for today. separate them from upcoming and others. All right, cool. So you can check, you could split them to unpublished or future published or something like that. Makes sense. Wow, some tabs here. Cool. GROQ is the one we want because I think on the front end we'll be using GROQ. And then we can check, we can get the GROQ from here. Star is select everything, I imagine. The filter that the array brackets that we saw in the quiz is filtering for the type to be event and an in-person event, sure. And I imagine instead of star, you could say, just give me specific fields. In future events, sure. In the end. So does it always start a star? I guess. And then kind of GraphQL-like, I would say. You specify what you want back. And if it's a nested object, then you get even more back. It's called projections. Sure. Great. But what's the library that we want? So in this case, where we were with the post schema, they have this thing where they were creating the client. But they specifically had like a next sanity thing to create this client. Which clients would we use for this one? It's not Next.js. GraphQL alternative, they say. Because I imagine we'll be using this for Svelte. It is made by Sanity, which is good. What does this template? Source routes. How does it get stuff from the backend? It's the thing we'll be doing next, but we'll start by doing the rules. In the lib directory, they have a Sanity directory. They have a client. And in this one, they have Sanity client. Okay. And they have an API. What could this be? Text environment variables. Sure. Crease. Promising. And they just have a GROQ package. All right. Not GROQ, it's just GROQ. Updated 3 days ago by the Sanity team, I imagine. Used quite a lot. Great. So let's install this one. Why was that hard to find? And we want to check for the feature field here. So they were doing this query, get the client, and then you run some GROQ to it. Let's see if we can just do it just the same in our SvelteKit. Monorepo. So here, do we need the API version? No. GROQ. Oh, we need the API version. We need the API version. All right. So that should be happy, but the API version, we need to specify on the client here. And does it give us like what the API version should be? No. Let's see here. I can only imagine it's the one they're using in here when we go to vision, API version, this. So is it, does it have the V included? I like Stripe because it gives you the possible strings. Here I'm not quite sure what we are supposed to pass. Env. Ah, it's like this. Interesting. Why is it so recent? So it's empty API version. What's the latest one? Why is it that hard to find? API. Unclear. What's the latest Sanity API version? They must have something. Stripe inspired us to use dates. Great. But how do I know the latest date? Would it be anything? Like just do today and you're good? Guess we'll find out. So it just wants this. So if we do like today, will it just work? Maybe not. So we're passing the API version here. And let's see what happens, because we're calling we're creating the client and doing our custom logic when we try to toggle the featured field. So let's see. It seems like it just works. Ah, no, it doesn't. Seems like it fails. So did we get that? So toggling it off like early is out. So this one will work. But if we do this, it seems like it fails. With no helpful debugging, I would expect this to be catching something. Let's see if this version is acceptable. So turn it off should work because we're early out. I say confidently, it's a hard refresh. And enable it. You can see the spinner here if you're looking at, if you're trying to figure out where I'm looking. It's here. Saved, right? So eventually it happened. I guess it's trying to do an API call now. Off, easy, on, faster now. Maybe it was like half asleep or something. It wasn't warm. But yeah, so API version. Suggestion from Farnglow. GROQ D seems to be type safe GROQ query builder. They will do something about type generation. So I wonder if that section has me looking into GROQ D there. Thanks. So this thing seems to just work. It knows that this is going to be a number, which is good. What could this be? The API version will never know. In Stripe, they do tell you that if you want to, like the latest version is this. Like I wish there was like an easy index of the API versions that they have. They did forward us to like these docs. You can see the client configuration, whatever. But I just want a list. Anyway, so let's open GROQ as well to remember it later. Grab. Cool. So we'll look at this later. We've done this. This is our written experience. This is the thing we stole. We don't need this again. It has hot updated too. We don't need this anymore. We'll keep this just in case. I get started. Oh, was this for us? Did we get started? I think so. We don't want yet another project. Radiant we've shown. Cool. Create a copy generator for custom fields. Anything else? Displaying content in an XCS frontend. They're saying, so they have a specific client for next, it looks like, with define query, but we'll be doing stuff with SvelteKit, so we won't be doing exactly the same thing. But it is a different section that we'll try to get to. We did spend quite a bit of time here, but it's been fun. Hope you've been enjoying it too. So I imagine that the long story short is that we want to be able to create a query that's like get type is like post, and there get like their title or whatever, like something like this in the publish thing. Not quite like this. So let's see what it looks like in Next.js land. So in the blog page, they have the featured post section here. So server-side rendered component, which runs this GraphQL-like query. So the underscore type should be post, and it's featured, and it has a slug. If it doesn't have a slug, don't. So it also, like the pipe, does the sorting order. Cool. And from 0 to however many, and then return me how, no, take this as a dynamic argument, as a parameter, I guess. So here is something you'd be putting in as a parameter. And then give me the title, give me the slug, which I guess it's deeper inside here. Interesting. Publish that main image excerpt, and from the author, get me the name and the image. So this excerpt thing is interesting. Did this exist? I think the answer is no. So in our post definition, we don't have an excerpt, and we'll add it. Right for the body, add this in, and let's look at the excerpt for this. I guess it's this. And now in our CMS post, we can find it. The excerpt section has appeared, which doesn't have rich text functionality. Sure. And we can publish this. and that's how they're able to query for that. The author should have a name and an image. In any case, we get the main image. In the preview, they specify some things. And they have a prepare thing, so we don't have quite a few things here. Preview selects the title, author, and media. Great, so that's similar. But they just also ask for whether it's featured or not. Yeah, it's the same. But also asks whether it's featured. In the prepare, like a byline, it creates a byline for this, I suppose. Do you have documentation? Not really. So by default, this is supposed to be, it spreads the whole object and also spreads a subtitle of author by some, if there is an author, it says by this author. But now the subtitle is, if it's featured, it also prepends featured and also has this thing and filters whether it's truthy or not. Interesting. So back in the day, running Boolean there was less fast than filtering like this. I don't know if this is true today. If you don't know, you can pass this and it will become like truthy or false according to what this value is. Or you can flip it. And back in the day when I benchmarked this, this was faster than doing this for some weird JavaScript reason. Anyway, doesn't really matter. Just a string. It's not gonna be. It's just like an array of things. It's not gonna make a noticeable difference. Sure. So I think those are the orderings. This orderings thing. The thing we skipped. We can just keep it. So let's see in the preview now. It is saying featured by this person. Great. Whether it's featured and the name of the author. So we've changed that. And we can do a custom ordering, I suppose, which we can call like, is it featured and published? And then you saw first the group that is both featured and published. Maybe in the vision part, maybe not. It's in the structure. Ah, there you go. You have like a pre-made sort of is it so the featured ones and the latest published ones first as a default sort, selectable sort, a default sort. All right, cool. So we went into this rabbit hole because we have this featured post query that we wanted to see. And they're calling this sanity fetch method that you don't need to return await ever. And sanity fetch is the sanity client. And the client is created based on the project ID, the dataset, the app version, and whether you want to use a CDN for pictures or not, and don't use it during development. All right, sure. So let's try to recreate this for Svelte and SvelteKit. So as a reminder, in here, let's do a section. So let's get in there. In this section, we want to implement this. So in the blog page, on the server load method, we want to somehow get the featured posts, I imagine. Const featured posts is something. And we want to return them and we want to render them. What is this gonna be? Who knows? But this doesn't like it because we don't have anything here. And it'd be nice if this could understand what the type is gonna be, but we'll figure it out. Let's just say it's Mario. Let's have like a title for now. And how will we do that? Well, we'll do it with dependency injection, as I usually like to do. So we'll create an interface for posts. So in source lib repos, let's create a posts repo. Nested correctly, and create an interface. And let's say that we export this interface of posts repo interface, and we needed to have oh, quite a lot of things. And let's say we have get feature posts. The user repo interface, what do we have there? We have find. I guess that's the user, we have one. Get feature posts. What does a post look like? I don't know if we'll be able to type it later, but it has like a title string thing. And this returns a post array, sure. And now we want our implementation posts sanity posts repo. Yes. So this, like, if you switch to PocketBase, then you implement this all these methods here, and then at some point you create a PocketBase post repo, and then you switch with confidence. So here export sanity posts repo, which implements the post repo interface. We can have the one method we want for now. And I guess this will have a Sanity client or a client. Which I don't know what it's gonna be. We'll figure it out. Do they have this in? Let's look at this template. So they have the queries here, they have the client here, and they have the Sanity client. Sure. So the Sanity org has this client thingy. So you can use anywhere, not just Next.js. Works in modern browsers as well as runtimes like Node, Dino, and Edge. You can create the client here, API version. And it does say use current date to target the latest API version. So you can use any date. Okay. Sure. And this client will not be doing mutations, so we don't need a secret token or anything like that. And these examples don't use the GROQ helper, which is fine. So, we're doing anything here. Let's say Sanity client. Oh no, let's create the Sanity client here. Which is going to be something that our SvelteKit app will be dependent on. So let's add it. pnpm-add the client. And we can create the client like so. And, you know, not libSQL from here. And where else do we create client? I think on the other project. Not really. We must have done this somewhere. Sanity config here. Yeah, so these two things. Interesting. I wonder if the client could be looking into this object, but maybe not. So I will go to another window to add these as public variables. We have like a .10.test, so let's see what we'll do here. We'll do Sanity project ID and Sanity dataset, but actually they're like public. It doesn't really matter. We won't have a client-side connection, but maybe we'll want to do it. Maybe we'll be streaming the other posts to the client from the backend. Maybe the front end will be connecting to it for real-time updates or whatever. Like, it's a blog, so I don't think we'd be doing that. We won't be setting up a real-time connection. But, you know, just to signify that it's fine if you let these be seen somewhere. So I will add these two things to my two other .ends, but I will be using the values from my Sanity config. So the project ID has like JMS, something like that. And the dataset, I guess, is production. So in my .ends.local, I've put this, and in the other .end as well, putting these values. I can bring this back. Now, in here, I can say that this is the public server is running. What other client do we have? Drizzle, DB. Not a real thing. Should be these two things. And Will Copilot be helpful? I think that's correct. I think in the environment we have like an is dev. If we're in dev, then it's false. So let's do flip dev. And I think that will work. I don't know why it doesn't find them. Let me double check my .env file. Yeah, I have added them. So let's restart the server. Or maybe it's just that VS Code needs a little quick reload here. So Sanity client, because this is looking at files, I was expecting that this shows something. This should have updated. Oh, there you go. Ah, they're public, they're not private. Come on, Johnny. But still, like the autocomplete should have worked. Okay, so that's fine. We have the Sanity client. Will this work? It claims that just use the current date and you'll be fine, but it didn't work for us before. So who knows? And all I wanted was to see what type of thing this client is. So I can go to my repo, the Sanity post repo, and say, give this thing a client, which is going to be a Sanity client. And then in your constructor, you give me the client and I assign it here. And I can go, like, I hate the CS lint rule. It's like, you haven't used this. It's like, give me a chance. Give me a chance, please. We can go to our app locals and specify besides the user repo, we also want a posts repo. This will be implementing the posts repo interface. Bring that in. So in our dependency injection handle, we can say in our locals, we'll be putting in a post repo. And we'll be doing the Sanity post repo here, give it the Sanity client. Son is with me, hating the declare button used. Give me a chance, man. I was gonna use it, I promise. Right, and it's red squiggly. Like, at least give me the yellow squiggly. At least give me the warning one that you should use this. It's like, you know, I can see that it's not highlighted, like it's a bit grayer. A yellow line, a blue line would be enough, not a red line. Whenever I see red line, I'm like, I've done something wrong. Dear Lord. But no, I haven't done anything wrong. It's just that we're working towards the success. Anyway, this means that in our blog load method, we can actually, from the locals, take out our post repo and get the feature posts. Awesome. And they'll be magically typed and everyone will be happy. And what's this about? Reload. Surely you know what locals are. Yeah, I don't know what the problem was. And now on the front end of this page, let's say let's have like a section here where we just say that for it has a UL or whatever, and then for each data featured. But what is data? Data is something we'll be magically getting prompts. We're magically getting data from prompts. So the load method in the other file, in this file, will be magically giving a data prop to its sibling UI. And in there, featured posts. As a post. And each one of them can do like the post title or something. Good, we have none, non-featured. That's fine, because what we'll be doing next is ensuring that our Sanity post repo is actually using this client to return the results. And to get the post, it says fetch, client fetch, and that's it. So this client fetch, and then a query, I suppose, which we can steal from here. I imagine it will be exactly the same. Maybe not, because define query is like a specific thing. Right, so it's saying the GROQ template tag should be used. It's the same as the GROQ template tag, but it cannot infer types. So it'd be interesting to see if there is a defined query somewhere, or if that's the package that Faranglau was talking about with GROQ D. But for now, let's say that we have gonna be, oh, let's keep it the same. But we'll be doing GROQ, and we bring in GROQ from GROQ. But we haven't added it in this app. We only added it into the studio. So bring that in, put the dependency here. SvelteKit understands for you. Everything's a dev dependency by default in SvelteKit, because it will analyze your code and understand what is shipped to the client or not. It compiles everything. Nothing you bring in should make it to the final button. Anyway, it's by the by. So this thing, I guess the problem is that we specify this query, but we have no way of saying that this actually returns a title, which is a string and a slug and whatever this public stat is and all of that. Oh well, if we pass the featured post query here, it should just work. And we can give it some params. And I guess, will it be like quantity 3, GraphQL style? We've specified the quantity here, $quantity. So I imagine it expects to get it in this object like this. That's another thing where it would be nice to know that this query needs a quantity parameter. So there you go. GDPR is just a suggestion, a guide to European privacy laws. Awesome. Yeah, isn't that cool? So we manage the fetch operation. I don't know if we'll manage to magically create the types somehow. I think we will. But for now, let's get these things and go to our repo and say that like feature post has like a title, has this. Is this a string too? I don't know. Is this a string too? I don't know. I will figure it out. Excerpt has to be a string. Author, I can only imagine, is an object that has a name and an image. So image can just be href. Who knows what it is? I don't know why this pasted here. Select got me. But we can see what our Next.js ready and UI is doing there. So it's got the feature posts and it's doing all of this. The image. Ah, interesting. Maybe not so interesting. I don't know what that is. It's an asset, so this is like a specific thing. And they have a helper method for this that Sanity provides. Cool. Maybe not. Yeah, so they have like an image URL package that we can use to figure out that resource. That's nice, I guess. So let's kind of quickly do this. So in the UI here, we can have a section here. We've already contained this for some reason. Everywhere that says class name should be class, like in HTML. And then, instead of doing this weird map, just copy all of this. We'll be doing a SvelteKit style each iteration. Each one of these guys. No need for a key. Although we could key this to the title, I suppose. If it has a main image, we could do something, but let's do nothing. We'll figure it out later. Day.js. Come on. Come on. What is it supposed to be? So this is a string. All right. So let's just put the string here for now. We'll format it later. Publish that. Did we forget about this? Oh, why does it still think that posts only have that field? Shouldn't. So does it don't know? Reload. Usually Svelte is super magic with this, but it doesn't seem like it now. So this can just be an A tag. This is a thing that exists. If there is an author, so let's do if post author and enter if, and just do the post author name for now and save. And look, it works. A few things that don't apply to dark mode. So how do they want this to look? They want it to just be a card, really. So should we do BT card background, the real thing? Maybe not. What does the login UI do? What did I do there? BT card. Shadow, whatever. And the ring is specifically dark. Don't know why. Anyway, UI stuff we can figure out at a different time. So I've said that this is what this returns, and in our client, in a load method, I've hard coded this. That's the problem. Sorry, it's not Svelte, it's me. Anyway, like shadows, you can hard code black, I guess, in the ring. But here, we shouldn't hard code anything. We can do text muted, I suppose. Text muted foreground. We want it to be readable. And this thing is trying to do some crazy. Like, what does this achieve? Not sure. Doesn't look like it really has a visual effect. So deleted. And then we have the excerpt, which again they wanted to be muted. And then they have the author name, which again they want to be muted. Like, they have more shades of gray, like 50 shades of gray here. But I don't know, not a big fan of that. So this and this, I guess they have the same. Maybe we can make it font light, and then it looks like better. So the date and this font light. Sir. So it looks card-like. Now, in dark mode, doesn't really look dark-like. But yeah, I'd say that's something that I should figure out. What do I do for the login screen again? If I can quickly do something. I do the muted background. And I could do the muted background like in this section. But I don't think it would look nice, so I won't worry too much about this not looking like a card just yet. Let's format the date. Do I have any format methods anywhere? No. So let's create a date formatter. Sure. And what do they want? They want the date. Day. And what are the options for day? We don't have it spelled out. Interesting. is it like weekday? Yeah. So weekday long. I think that's what they want. And we can call it here. Cool. So no comma, but hey, that's fine. That's fine. And we can create a utility method for this. Even though maybe it's specific to this component, so not quite sure. I think it looks nice. All right. So next, we'll quickly do maybe the images, and that will have to be it for today. We have managed to upload images both for the author and the blog post as a featured image type of situation here. And in the UI, they are managing to use them, but we haven't used them yet. Apparently, there are a few helper methods that we're supposed to use when it comes to downloading those images or linking to these images from our front end. So somehow they've hosted this for us somewhere, and they have an npm package that can turn an asset or whatever they return here as an image type field into a URL that we can hit. And I also imagine where we created our Sanity client here and we specify whether to use CDN or not, this is where the CDN would come in play. I imagine, but not sure whether it would give you direct access to the image or through the CDN, but not sure. In any case, what they're doing in the Next.js Radiant, they have like this image helper which uses an image builder from Sanity again, which we can take inspiration from. What does auto do? Who knows? Let's try to do it quickly. So we need to bring in Sanity image URL. This has the helper methods that we're going to be using. Nope. Try again. Missed the copy. Missed again. What's happening? All right, definitely didn't miss this time. So bring this in, copy all of this, and since we have the Sanity client, we could put it in here, or what? We have the posts repo too, but I guess that's a more generic helper. So we have this repo that takes the client, but I guess that's a different thing. So instead of calling this Sanity client, it can just be like Sanity. And then our dependency injection will manage to get it in. And in here, also the current date to use the current version of the API seem to have just worked. Great. And let's say that we have the image builder. Which will also be using project ID and dataset like so. And I guess this one doesn't get the CDN flag, so maybe I was wrong. I guess the client is, no, I must have been correct. The client is the one that gives me some URLs, and then no matter what URL it gives me, the builder just gets the resource, gets a Sanity image resource. So this could be like CDN or not CDN. This is what specifies whether it hits CDN or not, I imagine. Cool. So we have the image builder, and then maybe we want to export this helper method, which just returns this with auto format for now. Sure. And maybe you can chain even more methods later, it looks like. So in each component, indeed, they are getting the they're using the image helper and then chaining a few more width and height methods here before getting the final URL. All right, so what do they do? And they're not using the Next.js image component for both, which is interesting. Like, they could be doing a bit more. Maybe we'll do this in the end. Let's see. So first, where's the hero image? Where is the hero image? There you go. So if it has a main image, then it's doing a few things. And a main image, wow. Is this like a Sanity image asset, I guess? Is that like a real thing? I guess I could be passing the image here. Okay. So the source, I think that's what we want. Like, this is supposed to be abstract, but clearly this is a Sanity specific thing. We're mixing and matching. That's something I can think about and change eventually. But the point is that here we can say that if we have a main image, then we do something. And we don't need this div, do we? Can I have the list item? And in here we can say if post main image and if. We can do all of these things for now. Who knows what this is? Let's get the image helper. Good. And this should be class. And it's happy with this. It says it may have an alt. Let's type it harder. So let's say that this may have an alt string, but also everything a Sanity image source has. Now this should be happy. All right, big moment. We hit save. Do we see a nice image on the left? answer is yes, because we're awesome. Never a doubt. Never a doubt, fellas. Cool. So in the navbar, I think I'm doing something cool. Maybe it's the plus grid actually. So the plus grid stuff. I'm doing border foreground. So foreground stuff. That's 5. Let's see in the marketing block. Oh, my little doggy's kind of crying. So where it's doing the ring, can I do foreground 5? And then you have like a slight white trail here. And maybe the shadow could be like this too. Yeah, there you go. So it still looks the same in light mode, in dark mode. Like the cards look a bit more like cards, which I do appreciate. Cool. Let's do the author. The thing we should be doing here is doing a source set of 2 types of images actually. Since it's kind of easy to size this, so we can do that as like a final thing. We'll see. Let's look at the author. So the author can have an image, that's the same thing. And if they do, can we do this? So first thing in the gap3 thing, we can say if post author image, not avatar, then end this if. Controversial. That in image elements, should you be saying avatar picture, like things like that? Picture gets an ESLint error photo or something. Because you're using the image element, so it knows. But I guess we haven't set it up for now. Anyway, if I save this, do I get a nice author image here? Take your bets, place your bets. Here we go. Nailed it. Nailed it. Cool. So last thing, we wouldn't be doing the blog post feed here. I leave it as a to-do. Let's say like smaller section here. Not that small. But let's do, what happened here? Let's do dynamic. Let's do retina images as well. Better images. I guess we only have the one now. So the biggest size possible, which is this. Seems to be 912,608. So this should have it looking the same. But we're still, like, for some styles, we still have like a bigger image than we need to. So we should be providing a source set here, I suppose. But just quickly, so ideally, according to the breakpoint, or when we are like in this, or how big the container is really, we should be getting smaller images because this is much smaller. But also, you can kind of see, or I can see at least without the YouTube compression, that this is a bit pixely. So for retina displays, we should be getting something else here. So we could say, we could use the image srcSet attribute and specify that for 2x, we actually want double the size. And let's see, that I have the 2x example here. So it would be the main one and then the 2x one. So I could create it so the hero component here for the main image. But just for now, like off screen, maybe I'll do this. Filtered image sizes, max width. This, use them here. And do it. So looks the same, but I'll do it in this instance. Instead of source, we can use a srcSet and say that it's this. Comma, all of this again, 2x, but double the size of those two, times 2, times 2. So now it's nice and crisp. I don't know if you get it through the image compression. Because I'm on a retina display, this is a retina display. But if you don't have a retina display, it will get the smaller one still. Cool. So, but the most important thing would be to figure out, according to the container size or the viewport width or something like that, to bring in an even smaller image for this case, for this resolution. So, because you want the smallest image as possible. But still, like if you are gonna have a big image, make sure it's crisp if they're on like an iPhone or something. All right, so that's gonna be it for today. We did quite a lot of stuff, didn't tick them in the agenda, but I trust that you'll agree. We did quite a lot, and we'll have a look at the final demo. We didn't leave any pending console logs, I suppose. We have the Sanity post repo here, and the repo interface, and the author has this and an image. So let's do Sanity image asset. Let's say that it's actually this. Let's say that the asset is this. So main image is this. The image is this. Should be fine. Let's look at the blog page. This is still fine. Cool. Let's save everything. Let's blog post from Sanity CMS. Commit everything. There is a README to I'll amend later because that's a bit boring to do now. But I would need to go to Vercel, go to RadiantKit, go to settings, go to environment variables, and paste in the new secrets that we've added today, which aren't really secret, they're public. The new environment variables, I should say. So I will paste these in, save. So now when I synchronize with the GitHub branch, we'll get a deployment and you'll be able to click around. Hello, Siad in the chat. We are recreating TailwindUI's Radiant template, their latest template. It's a template supposed to be for startups, for marketing SaaSes. So it looks like this, the original one. So just in time for the recap, because we're wrapping up. So this is the original one by the Tailwind team. It has quite a lot of images that we haven't recreated and this nice carousel. It has a few neat subtle animations that we've also recreated. It has a login flow that doesn't really work. And it doesn't have view transitions. The things we've recreated doesn't have as many images, but it does have animations. It does have view transitions, which look cool. It does have dark mode. And quite a lot of nice things. But the thing we were doing specifically today for this marketing website that can also be used as a template for your startup idea, so it can have its own dashboard app section as well, is the blog functionality. And if my calculations are correct, if I refresh now, Vercel should have deployed this and will be fetching blog posts from the Sanity CMS that we've scaffolded and created today. So let's refresh, and we nailed it like always. And we fetched the one featured blog post that we have. And offline, I will need to copy over, I guess, the blog post that the Tailwind team has created. So you can have a look here. Oh, and it has a little gradient background here. I notice a lot of little details that we can switch. So it looks very similar. It doesn't have the gradient background, doesn't have the blog post feed, but that's about all the time that I had for today. Hope you like it. I think this is cool. For a marketing website, not sure if you need like a specific blog post with a blog functionality. We've shown how you can do your own blog with Astro. If it's just you as a developer, you want a portfolio and a blog or something like that. Quite easy, great experience, works great if you wanted to have code snippets, interactable components, embed Svelte or React components, something like that. We've shown how you can do a CMS functionality with PocketBase. So something that it's not you that will be adding the blog posts or the content or whatever, but something that you'll be selling to a client and inviting to the project. We've shown how you can do that with PocketBase. Today, we've used Sanity CMS to do the same thing. It was cool to see the differences between PocketBase and Sanity. Sanity is a huge project with a lot of funding behind it. And I do like the editor and the customizability of the editor. There are some things to learn, like Sanity specific things, like the query language that they have. But it was interesting. So you can see that the studio, the Sanity Studio, is running on local host. You can deploy that one into production as well. Maybe they have a hosted version in the cloud that we could have a look. But in any case, the changes we make here do get reflected to production. So we're having this talk to the production dataset. So the moment we added another blog post here, it would appear. So maybe that's the last thing that we should do before we close. Let's prove that this works. So we only have the one blog post now. Let's add another one by copying everything Tailwind team has ever done. Let's have a look. So post, create a new one. The title is this. Nolan Sheffield is the author that generated the slug. We don't have this author yet. We need to create a new one. This is their name. This is their slug. And we can steal their avatar image once again. You can see this is using the Sanity CDN, interestingly enough. And we can have a look at Nolan, drag and drop here. Good. I think this auto saves. No, you need to publish it. That's why you have the nice little icon here. So that's cool. That's like high quality for sure. Let's do the same thing by stealing the hero image. And similarly, paste it here, drag and drop it here. Cool. Let's see the categories. Just company. It's a company update. New category again. We need to create it. Publish that. Let's use the calendar picker to find August 8th again. Is it really the same? Oh no, they're not using this as they were cheating. So it was 29th for this one, 22 for that one. So a bit of a bug here that this is hard coded and not actually fetched from the CMS. Interesting. So this should be August 22nd. Let's see if the order changes and we'll say it again. Let's go to August. I like it when you have arrows for the months as well. Excerpt, we can find it here. But we need to inspect. The correct thing. Monumental amount of money here. And the body is a what you see is what you get editor, which is super exciting. Short blog post without any what you see, what you get features, unfortunately. Oh well. So, question is, our Radiant kit, as soon as we publish, how fast will this appear? It says wait for the document to be synced. Refresh. Not there. Refresh. Not there. Refresh. Not there. It's taking a while, I guess. No CDN. I don't think I'm caching any of this content, so it should appear soon enough. Ah, it's not featured. Of course. We forgot the featured toggle, so it could have been faster. Let's publish again. Refresh here. It is featured. Not appearing, sadly. Featured. Featured. So it must be going through the CDN, and I wonder how long CDN stays hot for. Maybe that's something we can look into. While we're here, we now know that the real date for the other blog post is 29. So let's see if 29 will do it. Ah, also locally. Yeah, so locally we don't hit the CDN. Good, so immediately we got it back. But real life, maybe the timing just worked out. Oh well. So let's see how fast the 8th of August, we can change it to 29th of August. In here, this one, we want it to be the correct date of 29th. Hit publish. It's published. Here, the ordering changes and updates immediately. Here, yeah, so because we're using the CDN, it seems to be taking a while. All right, interesting. Maybe it's like 1 minute, 5 minutes, whatever it is. Locally, you can always see your changes immediately, which is handy, but in real life, it will take a while. I will be adding a few more featured articles and fetching the other blog posts later. Let me know if you'd like to see more in this Radiant project, or you'd like to see something else. As mentioned last time, it's very likely we'll be doing a Tori app, so a desktop app using a SvelteKit frontend, but Tori to bundle it into a Mac desktop app or Windows desktop app. That would be fun. This was fun today. Thank you so much for watching, especially the people in the chat. As always, I really enjoyed your company. Makes time fly by. But this will be it for today. There are some pending things that we can do here, including the querying, including the typing of what we get back, because the thing I never want to do is manually type things like I did here. There must be a way to magically generate the types, even if it's just by looking at the schema that you've already defined, the schema files that you have elsewhere, or even better, to be able to look into the queries here that you define, the GROQ queries, and see what type of fields you return. But we'll see. I know that when I used to use GraphQL, or whenever I use GraphQL, having a TypeScript type generation pipeline is essential. It's what makes a project like this really work, because you don't want to be typing these things like I was doing in this. You want to be doing other things, maybe writing the queries, and then you run generate command and it just works. So that would be interesting to see in the future if we keep going with this project. But yeah, that's about it for today. Have a lovely rest of Friday and an amazing weekend, and I'll see you all around. Bye.